Hey, what's going on, everyone? Today we're going to be taking a look at a bike called the KKBIKE. Now, I don't know where they come up with some of these names, guys, but this bike kind of reminds me slightly of the Snap Cycle because of the gray color of it and the reflective or chrome KKBIKE logo, which is pretty cool in my opinion, but don't know if I care for the name much. But anyway, we're going to go over this bike today, take it for a test ride, see what kind of power it has, what kind of speed it has, go over all the specs and features of this bike, and see if this bike is going to be right for you guys. So in my videos, guys, I like to do real world testing to show you exactly how the bike performs and basically to help you make an informed decision on whether or not these bikes are right for you. So if you enjoy the content, guys, please stick around, consider subscribing, and check out some of my other videos. And if you guys are interested in picking one of these up at the end of the review, I will leave a link down below in the description for this bike. It'll probably be an affiliate link, so if you guys use it, I'll make a small commission at no extra cost to you, and then also any coupon codes that I can find to help you guys save a few bucks. So let's get into the testing here, guys. KKBIKE did send this bike over for me for testing, but let's see what this bike got. So the first test we're going to do here is I'm going to put it into pedal assist 5 like I do in all my videos. I'm going to have to switch camera angles to this side because the thumb throttle is on the left on this, guys, but we're going to go up this hill first, which is what I do in all my videos, to see if it can pull me up this hill. Now this does have a 750 watt Bafang motor with a 22 amp controller, so it should pull me up this with no problem, but let's find out. All right, so here we go. I'm in pedal assist 5. Throttle only, and we're gonna see if this bike pulls me up. It should, in my opinion, with the 750 watt Bafang motor and 22 amp controller. Let's find out. I shouldn't have to pedal up this. Now, most 500 watt bikes don't make it up this without pedaling. It's a little underpowered, guys, here. I feel like it should have had a little more power coming up that. Now, it did take me up without pedaling, but some of the other 750 watt bikes I've tested made it up that a little bit easier than that. So it made it up, so it is more powerful than 500 watt for sure, but seems like maybe they might have it toned down a little bit in the settings as far as power goes for it having a 22 amp controller. But what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to head over to that steep hill that I tested the Magicycle on, and we're going to see how it performs coming up that long hill, so you guys ain't going to want to miss that. But before we go over to that long hill, let's go over all the specs and features of this bike. So up here on the handlebars on the left-hand side, you have a thumb throttle on the left. You have a very nice control pad. I really like this control pad a lot. You have a separate button for your headlight, information button, power button in the middle, up and down to control your pedal assist levels. In the center here, you have a nice color display that you could toggle through your trip, max speed, average speed, and odometer. Really nice big display there for your speedometer. There is a USB charge port underneath here that puts out about 0.6 amps and will charge your cell phone at about 3 watts. Really nice to keep your phones, GoPros, and things like that charged up while you're out on the ride. Love when they include USB ports on the displays. On the right hand side, you have a 8-speed trigger shifter, which leads down to the 13 to 28 freewheel in the rear. It's using a Shimano Altus derailleur, which is nice to see, a little step up from entry level. Coming up the chain, we have a 44 tooth chain ring in the front and a pretty large set of Welgo aluminum pedals. And one thing I absolutely love about this bike, that's probably my favorite feature of it, is the front headlight. I know you guys are going to be like, really? The headlight's your favorite part? But this headlight on the front of this bike is super bright, guys. Like 200 feet away, it still shines. Was lighting up the trees when I tested it at night, and it's pretty bright. The only downfall on this bike as far as the lighting for the safety goes is they just give you this little cheap light in the back that flashes or has a steady light. It runs on 2 AA batteries. I mean, it's better than nothing, but I would have preferred an integrated brake light to run off that battery and maybe an actual brake light instead of just a light that blinks or, you know, one little steady LED in there. So for stopping power, this bike's using a set of X1, I guess it is, it's hard to tell, hydraulic brakes. What's awesome is they do have a little window here for the reservoir. Really nice brake levers. Really happy with the braking system up here. Coming down to the rotors, which look like they're 180 millimeter rotors, and really heavy duty, guys. These rotors are a little thicker than most rotors. And there's the X1 calipers, which look pretty beefy, and a lot of meat on those brake pads, I noticed. So seems like a pretty decent brake. We'll have to test that out and see how they work. The only downfall that I didn't like is these brakes were really hard to get adjusted up here on the front for some reason. I had a hard time getting them angled right and adjusted. Once I got them adjusted pretty good, they seem okay so far, but we'll have to keep an eye on them. And another thing is, when I put this bike together, assembly was pretty easy. Really, you only have to install the handlebars, the pedals, and the front wheel. And when I put the front wheel on, with the washers that they give you, there's really no explanation of exactly where the smaller washers go. I thought they went on the outside on both sides. However, when I put them both on the outsides, I couldn't get the caliper to go in the rotor and line up correctly. I had to put the one small washer on the inside on the caliper side to get that fork over just a little bit to line up there. That's probably how it's supposed to be. They do have an online video to show you how to assemble the bike, but it didn't go over the washers specifically, so just keep that in mind during assembly, guys. You may have to have that washer on the inside of the fork tube there to get that front caliper to line up in there correctly. Even though the manual was lacking a little bit about that washer on the front wheel, I got to give them props on the rest of this manual because it explains very easily what each P code is, the settings for them, what they are, what they do. So got to give them props on that. A lot of companies nowadays aren't even supplying a manual, so really nice to see the user manual there. Now this bike also has dual suspension. It has a nice adjustable suspension on the front here with clicks to adjust your rebound, and it has a preload adjuster on the left hand side. And on the rear, in the center of the bike, it has an HLT 100 shock that does not seem adjustable. And the suspension's okay on the back, guys. It's definitely better than nothing, but not super soft. To be honest with you guys, I'd probably rather just have a suspension seat post like the red shift post that I use. However, suspension seat post would make the bike sit up a little higher, and it already sits at 35.5 inches for the minimum seat height and 43.5 for the max. The weight of the KK bike.
75.3.
So we'll call it 75 pounds. Now there is one problem with this bike, and I don't know if it was due to damage and shipping or if they're all going to be like this. I reached out to the company and showed them the problem. They confirmed with me, sent me a video of another one of their bikes that wasn't like this. So like I said, it could have happened in shipping, but maybe not, guys. And the one thing is that this tire is a lot closer to the frame on the right hand side than the left. I could not get that lined up in there correctly. And what made me actually even notice that is this here was showing where the paint was missing a little bit, and the axle was actually dropped down a little bit in here. I loosened this up and put it back up in there and re-tightened it just because I didn't feel safe with it down a little bit. When I got it, it was a little bit more lined up, but once I put that up in there, it kind of threw that off. So like I said, something there in this back is not perfectly straight. It could have got bent in shipping because there is a little mark here on the frame. The wheel was on this side, so it could have got banged up. I mean, there's no doubt about that, but maybe it did, maybe it didn't, but I don't really care for how this doesn't line up perfectly in there. For power, there's a power switch on the side of the bike, which is really nice, has a nice blue glow in the side. Nice to be able to turn the power on and off to the bike so that it doesn't accidentally get turned on up there. However, don't forget to turn that off because the light does glow with a little ring, and it could drain your battery if you forget to shut that off. Now, it will probably take a pretty long time to drain it, but just something to keep in mind. This bike's powered by a 17.5 amp hour battery that's housed in the frame right here, using a 22 amp controller down in here to power the 750 watt rear hub Bafang motor. Really nice to see that Bafang motor, and it is supposed to peak out according to their specs at around 1200 watts. Now the bike does come with a front fender and a rear fender, but to be honest, the rear fender seems so flimsy and floppy that I'm not even going to put it on there. And it's too short. The front fender's so short that I'm not sure it's even really going to do anything. I rode it through the grass a little bit, and you can see from here down it's covered, so something to keep in mind. There's really nowhere to attach a rear rack on this bike if you guys like carrying bags and accessories. Now this is probably going to be bought by most people riding it like this for this style of bike, and probably aren't going to want racks or fenders on these bikes. That's up to you. I normally like to take bags on long trips to carry things, water, tools, things like that, cameras, because I'm always filming. Gonna be nice for bigger riders the way it sits up. The suspension's pretty decent, being that it has dual suspension, unlike the Snap Cycle that I reviewed. But like I said, they're a little bit concerning in the back with that tire being centered with that frame. Now this is a cadence sensor bike, which means as soon as you start turning the pedals, regardless of the tension you put on it, it will engage the motor. Some people are gonna like that a lot. And I may have lied, guys. I said the headlight was the best feature on this bike. Honestly, I forgot that I think the best feature is you have full throttle with the throttle no matter what pedal assist level you're in. Meaning that even when you're in pedal assist 1, when you pedal, you'll only get up to a certain mile per hour, but you can always just hit that throttle and take off when you want. And that's the way I feel like most bikes should be programmed, because I love it when they're like that. That way, if a dog runs out in front of you, or just you need to get away from something really quick, you could just take off and you don't have to worry about going up into the higher PAS levels before you do so. And last but not least, this bike is sitting on a pair of 26 by 4 inch Kenda Juggernaut Sport fat tires. And to be honest, guys, it really gives it a nice look. I love the white lettering on these tires. It makes the tires stand out a little bit, and pretty cool in my opinion. So without further ado, guys, I think that's most of the main specs and features, but let's get into the riding. Let's get over to that big hill and see how it does coming up that hill. And this bike, along with some other bikes, are going to be featured in hill test that I do, an updated hill test, the second one. If you guys didn't see my first one, make sure you check it out, where I ran 19 different e-bikes up a hill to test their power. But I'll have this one in the next video, so make sure you guys stick around for that. Let's get back to the ride. All right, so let's test out these brakes here coming down this hill. This is just the back brakes, and they seem pretty good, guys. I really do like the wide rotors on this thing. The rotors seem really beefy, and the brake pads, I mean, everything about the brakes seem pretty beefy. So far so good, even though they were a little hard to get adjusted. Not bad, guys. Really no squeaks and pretty good stopping power. So I'm not really gonna go over each and every pedal assist level individually on this bike, because you can go in the settings and adjust each one. You can have 3 different levels of assist, 5, 7, or 9. And each one of those levels are programmed or programmable to adjust to your liking. When I first got on this bike and rode it in pedal assist 1, this thing was fast. It was like 14 miles an hour or something, and I was like, whoa, that is way too quick to be able to ride with other people that don't want to go fast. But I went in, toned pedal assist 1 down to 25%, and you can see here I'm in 1 and I'm only going like 6 miles per hour, 7 miles per hour. So really nice that you're able to tone those down and adjust those. I think every e-bike company should make those adjustable in their displays. That way riders can tune those settings to their liking. So let's bump up the pedal assist levels here and see what this bike got. A little hard to shift one-handed. Let's get up into 8. And hold on, guys, I forgot to turn my speedometer app on. This is 23, 25, 26, 27. I better hang on with 2 hands here, guys. 29. So guys, I'm still able to keep pressure on these pedals even at like 29 miles per hour, which isn't bad. The freewheel on this bike is a 13 tooth for the lowest, and to be honest, this is 20 miles an hour, guys, and it's perfect to pedal at 20. It may seem slightly fast over 20, but pretty good, guys, as far as the gearing on this bike goes. And it is nice that you do have the 8-speed. So let's see what we can get up to here. So on most bikes right now, you'd be pedaling like a maniac. I'm doing 24 miles per hour, 25. So up to about 25, it seems like it's pretty nice to pedal. All right, so this is what's nice. When you're in pedal assist 1, if you need more power, you just hit that throttle and it gives you more power, more speed. Really nice that they give you full throttle in all the pedal assist levels. So let's head down. Ooh. Almost lost my mic there, guys. I gotta stop. Man, this road's bumpy. I think I got this suspension turned up too high here. There we go. I usually have it on the softest setting, but it must have been at the higher setting from when I was showing you guys how to adjust it. All right, guys, that's better. I put the GoPro in my pocket, so now I can hang on with 2 hands. That's a little bit better. All right, so we're over here to the steep hill, and guys, this bike's fast. I'm gonna have to find a nice long level stretch and show you guys the speed of this bike, because even with just throttle only, this bike is super fast. Now you can go in and you can adjust your max speed in the settings for class 2 or class 3, which is nice. All right, down here at the bottom of the hill. All right, here we go, up this huge, long, steep, dangerous hill. That's what the sign says down there. Well, not huge and long, just says steep and dangerous. So I am in gear 3 right now, pedal assist 5. And so far it's pulling me up pretty easily with a little bit of pedaling. I'm gonna go ahead and bump it down a gear. Actually, I'm in gear 1 now, the first gear. So this will be the easiest to pedal up this hill. Still maintaining 8 miles per hour. And I'm putting a little bit of effort into the pedals. My legs are just starting to burn. Seat could potentially be up just a little bit higher for leg extension, but I know, guys, it's too low. But I like to leave it down here for a better filming angle and easier for me to film while riding one-handed. So, pulled me up pretty good. Now I'm putting very minimal effort in. So it maintained about 8 miles per hour coming up that hill. So not bad at all, guys. That was a really long hill. Still in pedal assist 5. Gonna go ahead and start shifting up now. So even though it's not the most powerful 750 watt bike, I feel like it's pretty good. So we are gonna try to head down to find a straight stretch so that I can show you guys what kind of speed this bike has. So one other thing that I kind of like that it has cruise control, but I don't like the way that it engages automatically. I don't think any bikes should engage automatically, or if they do, at least give you the option to turn that off. You can see right now cruise control's on. Now you can turn it off by hitting the cruise control or the throttle button. That will disengage it, or you can pull a brake lever to engage it. But when you're using a throttle, when you're not expecting it to kick in, sometimes it does, and it will throw you off guard. So I really wish e-bike companies would start letting you be able to either deactivate that, or see right now it's engaged, or hold the throttle steady and push the down button to engage it. That's what a lot of bike companies do. That's the way I prefer it. But if you are going to make it automatically, at least give you some kind of way that you can turn that off if you don't want that feature to kick on if you're not expecting it. So yes, it's good that it has it, but bad that you can't turn it off. This is just throttle only, guys, just cruising through this gravel road here. And this bike does seem pretty quick. Still throttle only. Dying down here a little bit up this hill. And I'm going to start pedaling now. So overall, guys, this bike does have some decent power. Not as much, like I said, as some of my other 750 watt bikes. But let's go find that straight stretch and see you guys when we get there. All right, guys, here we go. This is a pretty straight stretch, and see how fast we can go. 29, 30, 31, and this is throttle only, guys. 31 miles per hour. That's insane for throttle only. Now that's on a perfectly level stretch. I wouldn't really say it was downhill at all, maybe a little down and then up, but I mean, that's pretty much a pretty level road here. We're gonna go back and go the other way. That was throttle only, guys. That's insane. Now I'm gonna do pedal assist 5 and see what we can get on that. I'm just gonna rotate the pedals, not putting in any effort. 29. So about 29 miles, 30. So 30 miles per hour with just pedaling. Now I'm gonna go ahead and use throttle. So there may be a little headwind going this way, but I would say about 29 to 31 miles per hour. Pretty easy to hit 29 on level with me being 165 pounds. So that's crazy, guys. That's really fast for this e-bike. Most bikes will let you go maybe up to between 26 to 28, and usually it's a little hard to maintain that speed. This one, no problem hitting 29. Very nice as far as the speed goes, guys. Now keep in mind, that's unlocked to a class 3 to get to that speed, and it's only really legal in most areas if you're riding off-road. Most areas are legal up to 20 miles per hour, which is a class 2 e-bike in the United States. So keep that in mind, guys. But very nice that they're allowing you to be able to unlock this for those higher speeds off-road. Now it does sound like I have a slight little bit of noise in the back brake, so I think I have to do a little bit of adjustments on that yet. But overall, guys, even though they were a little hard to adjust, these brakes are pretty nice on this bike as far as them working great and stopping the bike with really no squeaks or squeals. So when I first unboxed this and put them together, I was kind of thinking I wasn't going to like them, but pretty nice, guys. So this bike is pretty easy to handle as far as, you know, I wouldn't recommend this by anybody, but this is one bike I feel safe going no-handed on if I want to. But like I said, do not recommend you doing that. And normally I wouldn't do that, but I was kind of wondering how it would be, being that that back wheel didn't seem centered, but it does still feel like the bike's tracking straight. So not sure what the issue with that back wheel was, not being able to be centered in that frame. All right, this is the last hill before I get back to my house. So let's see how it does up this. It's fairly long, and looks like the odometer is showing 7.4 miles on the bike and 7.6 on my GPS. So the bike is reading slightly low, but the odometer seems really accurate, both 14 miles an hour currently. So that's nice. And doing pretty well up this hill, maintaining 12 to 13 miles an hour, which isn't bad, guys. Going down to about 11 now. Another thing I want to mention, guys, is this does seem like a new company out. It's the first time I heard of them, and they only have this bike on their website for sale. So not 100% sure, you know, how they're going to be with customer service and everything, but just something to keep in mind, guys. All right, so I made it back safe and sound. There is one more thing I want to mention that is a little bit weird about this bike. Now, when you take the battery out, there is a meter on the battery to tell you if it's dead or fully charged. I was hitting the button trying to see how much power was in it, and none of the lights were lighting up, so I thought it was a malfunction of the battery. I emailed the company and they assured me that it wasn't a malfunction. It's designed that way. You actually have to have the switch on the bike here turned on with the battery in for that switch to work, and I can confirm that because I actually took the mounting plate out of the bottom, connected it to the battery, turned the switch on, and then that function did work in the battery. So a little bit weird that it's designed that way, I guess it's maybe a safety feature so that the battery's not actually sending power unless that switch is on or something. Could be good in a way, but I find it odd that you can't actually check the battery level when the battery's out of the bike. So I don't know, that's the first bike I've ever seen that on, so let me know your opinion, guys. But overall, there is the specs and features and how this bike performed. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments about this bike or any other questions you have. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. If you find this video helpful, please make sure you guys subscribe and check out the links below for all the accessories that I use, including the cell phone holder that I have here, bags, alarms, bike chains, things like that, if you guys are interested in that stuff. Thanks for watching again, guys. See you around.